Recording.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Immunotech family. We are so excited to join you here
So,
on our...
Meredith, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. Again, it's my emergency medicine background. I didn't hear the lady say recording the call.
Okay, let me stop the record.
Well, good day, Immunotech family. Meredith Burkich, President of the U.S. and Dominican Republic, here to welcome you and tell you how excited we are that you are joining us on our weekly educational series here at Immunotech. We're going to go ahead and we have a lot of people coming on the line right now joining in. And so we're going to give everybody just another few seconds to get settled in before we start. Thanks again for tuning in. Well, here we are. We are about 1 minute after the hour and ready to get started on tonight's webinar series. This is a very exciting time for us here at Immunotech because we have embarked upon helping you to be empowered with knowledge, with information, and every Wednesday night you will be able to tune in and join with us for about a half an hour to get inspired and educated and just really able to take your businesses to a whole nother level. Perfect for the brand new person coming on board here at Immunotech, and perfect for all of you who have been with us for some time and plan to be with us for quite some time to come. So this is week 2 of June here, and we are looking forward to a very special evening with Dr. Jimmy Gutman, of course, our senior medical advisor here at Immunotech. Now, if you have looked over this new upcoming series, you will see that on the first week of the month is all about onboarding new consultants, where they can hear how to work around their back office. Week number 2 will always be product education, and we are so honored to have Dr. Jimmy joining us each second Wednesday of the month to give us his wisdom and guidance on our science and what the products are all about, their intentions. And so we look forward to that. Of course, the third week, we'll be talking about maximizing compensation and maximizing as well the current promotions and incentives that are going on, hearing from our top most successful field leaders on how they are having people really achieve results in their, within their team. And then the fourth Wednesday of each month, we will be talking about personal development, the importance on focusing of you and unlocking the power that is in each and every one of us to be amazing, to be spectacular. So again, tonight, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just as a reminder, this webinar is recorded. And it takes us a little bit of time to upload it, but it will be. And not only will it be available on the podcast tomorrow, but for the time coming after, so that you can go back to it, listen to it, share it with people on your team, because it is incredibly valuable information that not only do you want to be a product of the product, but you also need to know how these products will help everyone in your life live better with a higher quality. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Jimmy Gutman, our special guest tonight. Dr. Jimmy, are you with us?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, we're so happy to have you. And again, Dr. Jimmy is just a treasure, here at Immunotech. We hope that you will have an opportunity to meet him at an event near you, to hear him speak from stage. Not only, is he incredibly talented, as a speaker and motivational person, he is just charming. And not only that, he can take the most complex scientific concepts and realities and really make them, make them approachable for the layperson, for people that may not have a scientific background or a medical background or a nutritional background, and yet help us just as regular people living our lives and going about it, take the information that he gives us and make it, be real, make it be something that, again, we can communicate and most importantly, duplicate within the teams. So
I wish I was able to make that slide blush.
Oh, I imagine there's somebody who could do that. Maybe we'll follow that up with a slide. Well, and besides our superstar, Dr. Jimmy Gutman, on the line, for this webinar, we have another star, and this star will be the focus of tonight's conversation, which of course is the Immunical Optimizer. But before we get started on that, Dr. Jimmy, I think it's very important for people to understand what goes into our products before the optimizer became, the breakthrough product that it is. What goes into it? Tell us a little bit about your team and how the science works through the area of research and development.
That's really the basis of our company. We are storied in over 40 years of research. I mean, Immunitech has been around for 20 years, but Immunitech research has been going on for 4 decades, probably before you were born, Meredith, and probably before many of our distributors were born, since they were little kids. We started off as a research group up here in Montreal, mostly at McGill University, and everything that we do is based on true science and research. Now, a lot of companies will say that we're based on science, but they're not actually doing the science. We do the science, and the Immunical and many of our other products are a result of research. So when we say that we're science-based, this is something that is established through many years of credibility, publications. You'll go online and look at the scientists involved, and these are some of the top scientists and top researchers in the world. So that's our basis. We're always keeping our eye on new science, especially as it relates to glutathione. And in the last few years, there's been absolutely astounding research done in genetics, especially a field called epigenetics, which you're going to hear about more in this broadcast. And epigenetics has opened up a whole world of possibilities of how we can actually influence our genetic code and tweak it to make our lives better. Now, here's the thing. Science has uncovered a way to influence our cells to improve glutathione metabolism.
So as we move forward, we start asking ourselves, something brought this idea out. We have an amazing product with Immunical, with Platinum. I mean, just beloved. People have been using this product for over 20 years. But what was it that really prompted you and spurred this idea of the Immunical Optimizer?
Well, we're always listening and always doing things related to glutathione research. And there's been a revolution in medicine. And of course, this revolution usually takes place a number of years before the general public hears about it. And this revolution is the ability to toy with our genetics to improve glutathione levels. So there's no way that we can pass this by. We're all about glutathione. So we're going to take advantage of this new technology.
Well, before, what were people's options, before even Immunical came into play? What did people have to work with at that time?
Well, we very much relied on nature, of course. We would eat fresh produce. We would eat it raw, whether it's vegetables or animals. We would have access to things in a state that we're not going to find at the grocery store these days. And until the Immunical was there was really only one other way to prompt your body to make glutathione, and that's to get the building blocks, which we call precursors for our cells to make glutathione. We would find this in rare amounts in our foods. Now, as you know, you can't eat glutathione and expect your glutathione levels to go up. Glutathione, when you eat it, becomes rapidly broken down in your digestive tract. So the cells have to make glutathione themselves. So this is why the Immunical was developed 40 years ago, and why people are using it now, because it gives your cells the building blocks to make glutathione. Now we have access to a previously unknown switch that turns up the volume on glutathione. We have a way to switch your cells on, turn it to 11 instead of 10, and get your body to make a better glutathione, more active glutathione. And so now we can take even better advantages of these precursors.
So in saying that, would you identify for us how the old science that we had before and how the new science are combined? Because clearly there's a difference between the two.
Well, the new science is what we're talking about, the ability to influence our genes to get more out of our glutathione production. But in the optimizer, we use this new science, but we also use some old science. The older science is the addition of what we call reds and greens. By reds and greens, we mean the addition of specific extracts from both fruits and vegetables to the optimizer. And of course, we understand the importance of these nutrients, but unfortunately, the vast majority of us just can't even get the minimal amount of servings of plant-based food that nutritionists recommend.
Okay, so I bet you have got some illustrations prepared for us. You are always prepared. We love that about you. So could we just take a few minutes then and look at some of the examples you would like to share with us today for our listeners?
Let's do it. This first slide here, as you can tell from the slide, we've got a number of famous scientists and famous breakthroughs, and this is well represented by our new breakthrough in a field that we call genetics. Now, you've all heard about the word genetics. About 50 years ago, when I was finishing high school, Watson and Crick defined how DNA worked. Now, this little substance exists in all of our cells, this DNA, and it holds a code for the entire body. The way we look, the way we feel, the color of our eyes, and everything that makes us us. Now, after some hard work, we became able to read little bits of DNA code. And this was enormously important, but enormously difficult. And finally, a couple decades ago, a project was undertaken to unravel the code for the entire DNA. Now, you might wonder how long it took to read the first human DNA code. It took 15 years. It took 15 years to crack this code and read it. And it took about 2 football fields of computers to do it. But today you can pick up your cell phone and for about $100, order a kit from Ancestry.com or 23andMe, and they'll send you a little bottle to spit into, and you send this sample back and you get your DNA uncoded. Of course, not the entire DNA, but enough for it to be really, really interesting. Now, of course, we don't understand all the codes, but this is advancing at light speed. So soon we're going to be able to read the entire code. Imagine that. So what do you do with that code? What do you do? Well, you can get a prediction of certain health disorders that you're coded for and take actual steps to avoid those problems. It may tell you that you're prone to heart disease or you're prone to neurodegenerative disease. You may be able to do actually something about it, like changing your diet or taking certain medications. In fact, you might be able to tell which medications you're going to respond to and which ones you're resistant to. I mean, this is really, really incredible. And in the next 10 years, you will be submitting a sample to your health practitioner, and he or she will be able to design a specific diet that'll be best for you and specific medications that will be best for you. This is guaranteed. I guarantee that in the next 10 years, you're going to see that technology at your fingertips. Okay, so we're able to read the code. We're able to predict to a certain degree what problems you might encounter. We'll be able to develop a diet and medication tailored to your needs. Okay, this is coming. But what's missing? What's missing here? What's missing is we can actually change the code. This is the breakthrough now. We can actually change the code of your DNA. And this is where it gets interesting now. Let's take a look. You know, throw away your old books, because this is our newer understanding of genetics. Here's your genetics. Here's a strand of DNA. You see that curly thing. Now, in reality, that curly thing could wrap around your house many, many times. And in that DNA are what's codes for the way you look, the way you feel, your susceptibility to disease, your resistance to disease. It's what makes you you. Now, this is the new part, epigenetics, which I call DNA point 2. You see on the DNA, these little balls there, these are epigenetic tags. And what do these tags do? They're actually switches. Okay, so you see that little orange ball at the bottom. Now, pay attention, watch what happens. We can switch that epigenetic feature there. We switch it, see what happens to the code afterwards. We've actually switched on that epigenetic substance, and the code changes. See, it was orange and now it's green. So it codes for something else, and it codes for you. So we can actually change the way the outcome of this code reads for. This, I mean, this really sounds like science fiction, but we have this technology right now. We can change your code. So I'm going to get into another word. You learned about epigenetics, and this next word is NRF2. What is the NRF2 gene? It is the most important, or one of the most important epigenetic switches that we have discovered up to this point. So what happens? You need an NRF2 activator to turn on this gene. So when you turn this switch on, the NRF2 gene will improve antioxidant function, and immunotech and glutathione, of course, we're the masters of antioxidants. And by turning this NRF2 gene on with an activator, not only can we make you get more miles out of your supplements, but even more importantly, you'll be able to take better advantage of the fruits and the vegetables that you're getting. I hope you're getting. Not everybody's getting them, but if you're eating fruits and vegetables, eating as many colors as you can, because each one of these colors represents a different set of important nutrients, but you can get more miles out of your plant food by turning on this NRF2 activator. And if you pick the right NRF2 activator, you can actually improve the function of these nutrients in your fruits and your vegetables for up to 3 days if you use the right activator. What is the best activator? Well, research will tell you that the best NRF2 activator is a substance that's found in broccoli called sulforaphane. Now, your grandmother was right. She said, eat your broccoli, it's good for you. Now we know why. We know that broccoli contains sulforaphane, and sulforaphane switches on the NRF2 gene, and it makes all your antioxidants better. Now, how do we know that sulforaphane is the best NRF2 switch? Well, I've actually had the fantastic opportunity to sit with the team at Johns Hopkins who developed this science a number of years ago. And if you have the time and the patience to go online and look at real medical articles, you'll see that sulforaphane is the best switch to turn on NRF2. So let me back up a little bit. Let me get back to some basics. How does this all tie together with Immunical? Well, Immunical provides your cell, which is a little glutathione-making machine, with the building blocks for your cell to make glutathione. You get these 3 amino acids, glycine, glutamate, and bonded cysteine, and your cell gets these things, takes it inside of the cell, and what happens is the cell will make glutathione. There you go. It's really not more complicated than that. Now, what's more complicated is how to get the cysteine in a form that your body can use. Just regular old L-cysteine doesn't work very well. It gets oxidized very quickly. What you need to get is the cysteine in a bonded form, and this is why we need Immunical. Immunical will provide the rarest, rate-limiting substance that we need to make glutathione, this bonded cysteine. Okay, now go back to that drawing. You may not have noticed, but there's this little switch there. Remember that NRF2 switch? Let's turn that switch on. Let's feed the cell with the precursors, and look what you get. You get an enhanced glutathione molecule. And so this is the key. This is the key. We are the only company. Previously, we're the only company that gave you the best precursors, the best building blocks to make glutathione. Now we're also able to get you the best NRF2 activator. So you've got your precursors, you've got your building blocks, plus you have your NRF2 activator, and you can get it all at Immunitech. So just a few words more about this optimizer. I'm going to show you another series of slides, kind of cute. Here you see a kid on the left and a kid on the right. The kid on the left comes from a kind of a underprivileged background. His folks had trouble getting a job, keeping a job. The kid on the right, his folks are in the upper class of our economic stratosphere. Okay, so you take these two kids, okay, and for the next 30 years, all you do is feed them junk food for breakfast, junk food for snacks, junk food for lunch and for supper. Now, do you think that after 30 years that one of these kids are more likely to develop a bunch of health problems related to the junk food that they're eating? They're eating the same thing. Remember, one's rich, one's poor. Is one of them going to do better? And the answer, surprisingly, is yes. The kid from the lower economic level is going to end up with major diseases, quite likely. But the kid, you see him growing up there, he still has a cell phone, has done better. He's done better. Why? Why is it? Well, it's because it's not just about what you eat. Remember, they were both eating junk food. It's about what you're not eating. And the richer kid had access in between his junk food to fresh fruits and vegetables, and had a grandmother who told him he had to eat his broccoli. And these foods are filled with all these nutrients we call phytochemicals or phytonutrients that protected him from the adverse effects of the junk food. And we've termed this superfood, all these wonderful things that come from fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, which is harder and harder to get because even if you're eating them, they just don't have the same kind of nutrients as it did when you and I, Meredith, were kids. So you take this wonderful food, You have your NRF2 activator, which turns on the antioxidants. You have your Immunical, which raises glutathione. You put these three things together. Just imagine how spectacular that will be for your health.
That is spectacular. Dr. G, thank you. Thank you so much. I know that that was incredibly valuable for people to understand it better. And as usual, you have made a very complex set of studies and research very approachable and palatable for the layperson. And we thank you for that. I think, and you're so right about the about the food and the quality and what's in it. And there's so many great books out there, written about topsoil today. And even the broccoli that our grandmother recommended is not the broccoli that we find today, in the shelves of our stores that have been on trucks. And you kind of lift up the broccoli and it's like, wah, wah, they kind of droop. It's not the fresh, crisp, cut it right out of, rich soil. So we really do need to understand the need for the products that we have here at Immunotech. And so for our audience, extremely valuable. I think as we take a look and say, there is so much information, and obviously this is a quick webinar that we're on, this evening or on replay. And we have to say that, these are really at your fingertips as a sales force, as educators, as people telling the story. We really need to find, ways to get these into your hands. And so again, this is available on replay, but remember, you can go to your YouTube channel and you can, put in Immunical Optimizers here and actually find a 2-minute video that you can share with friends and family, people that you know in your warm market. In addition, the original Dr. Gutman convention launch video is also on YouTube. And in your back office, regarding this amazing product, you've got in your resource library, many, many things that will touch on all of the products that you might want to be talking to a friend about, that you think that, this would benefit them. Under promotions, of course, you can, see what's going on this month with Optimizer. And so, our educational series are always built around what's on sale, so that you can, more conveniently and, more economically friendly, even sample the products, try the products, share the products. So they'll always be aligned. But then also in the resource library, you have the ability to look up the product itself under the product section and learn more about Immunical Optimizer. So again, pointing you to the tool, helping you find out, how do I really, get a grasp on the science of living better, and on your own study, because, there isn't a job that you would take, there isn't a career that you would embark upon in life that you would not only, learn about and be educated on, go through weeks of training, but especially when you're talking about the fields of medicine and naturopathic, you would always be continuing your education to learn more. And that's really is, the responsibility that you have if you want to grow a successful business, is maximizing here all of your resources that you have available. So, I'd like to go ahead and just in our last few minutes together, Dr. G, if we could, we're always getting questions and answers from our questions from our consultants that need answers, both when we're out at our events and our meetings, but also, on the phones, of course, in customer service, and people send them into us. So we have collected some of those. I think, before I ask the few that we have here, I'd like to kind of ask one for myself, because I know personally for me, I love Optimizer. I use Optimizer. I'm on an auto ship, as a staff member for Optimizer. But I actually use it as a standalone. So in the morning when I'm with my friends and I'm at Starbucks and they're all getting these incredibly syrupy, sugary, 500 calories, 1,000 calorie, venti, frappuccinos, I get green tea and I just, whip out, my powder stick of Optimizer and toss it in there, and it turns this really pretty pink. And of course, it starts conversation. So as a standalone, if it's not being mixed with, Immunical and Platinum, how do you feel about it as that kind of a product? Because it's certainly easy to sample and talk about it all on its own.
Yes, we did that with specific intent in mind. Certainly, the optimizer was meant to be used with the Munical, but if you're getting your Munical another time during the day, you want to get the most out of your Munical, so you take the optimizer. But many people want to use it just by itself, and that is absolutely perfect. Remember, it's going to improve all of your supplements that are antioxidants, are going to improve your access to the nutrients in your fruits and in your vegetables. So no, what you're doing is perfectly fine. It can be used as a standalone, and that's just one of the many benefits. It's so flexible.
That's great. Okay, and yeah, and there is lots of content in here. So behind obviously, moving switches and all the other amazing things that it does, it's got a great profile all on its own. Of the riboflavin and niacin and everything else we need. And I don't know, but I'll tell you, when I put it in my green tea, I get a great pop, and I think it's a very sustained energy. And I don't know if it's the B12 that's in there or what it is, but it's great. And then of course I take my Immunical and my Platinum every day, but I take it with a different juice in a different place, and I'm just always feeding myself. But I think that the best way that we can talk about Optimizer is so convenient. To have it with you, and it's so easy, and it mixes so simply with just a little swirl of the glass, and it dissolves great. So it certainly is a good one to have with you, especially as when you're wanting to talk about the company, and you can share it conveniently, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But here's some questions that came in from the field, and so I thought that we'd go ahead and approach those. The first question that I have here today that's come in says, it's one that we've seen actually many times. And it says, Dr. Gutman, what is the difference between our NRF2 activator and others that we may see showing up on the internet or on Google?
Wow, I'm so glad you asked that question. We touched upon it just a little bit earlier, just having trust in the information presented to you by different websites. There's NRF2 again. It's such an epigenetics is such an important new breakthrough, and everybody's trying to take advantage of it. My first warning is, don't get your science from sites that are trying to sell you on something. There are sites, there are a lot of sites online that disguise themselves as science sites, but they're actually promoting products. And you look up NRF2 activator, and you're taking to a site that looks scientific, but they're selling you something. I mean, right now, of course, I'm promoting the optimizer, but I'll tell you how to do your fact checking. Go to the most respectable and trustworthy sources of information. Something like PubMed, PUBMED.gov, and look at the original research on publications. And I'll tell you with assurance that the optimizer has absolutely the best and most documented by published research NRF2 activator out there, sulforaphane. And I notice, again, not because I'm crazy enough to read all of these articles, but because I've actually had the pleasure to sit with the scientists that actually developed this new strategy.
Nice. Well, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a plug for you, Dr. G, because, team, as you're listening to this call, again, either on replay or live, just remember, you can go, to your Facebook, and you can subscribe to Dr. G's fan page. He has a fan page that is, aside from Immunotech, and it's Dr. Jimmy Gutman. Dr. Jimmy Gutman, and you want to subscribe to that because he has a lot of information on there. He talks about a lot of detail that might be very interesting to those of you who are having conversations with people, maybe perhaps at a different level, maybe with your acupuncturist, maybe with your massage therapist, and you feel like, I'd really like to educate myself, even, take it to another level, because what more important thing can we educate ourselves about than our health and making smart decisions for ourselves and for our family so that we can be all that we want to be and really are designed to be. So that's great. And that's good. And I guess, we're not saying that maybe other products don't necessarily work you know, that are out there, you know, boasting about NRF2. But I think we know that ours works best, and we're not just saying that because we're Immunotech. We're saying that why?
Well, because I tell people when I speak, there's three things that researchers, scientists, and doctors need to know when talking about any substance. The first thing is research. The second thing is research. And the third thing is research. And if
Nice.
it's not published in a credible journal, then really it just doesn't have the credibility.
Okay, great. Well put. Very politically correct as well. And then I think that one of the questions that here is asking, you know, that they're talking about using sulforaphane and selenium, and they just wanted to know a little bit more about those two substances in particular.
Well, sulforaphane, again, this is the active ingredient that we find in broccoli and in a number of other very, very important vegetables that really hard to get a hold of. And the sulforaphane, again, look it up and look at the research that's done on real living human beings. When I say research, sure, research, but research on humans, research done in a test tube, or even research done in a laboratory animal. They're all interesting, but they're not as interesting as research done, or valid as research done in humans. So the sulforaphane is the best NRF2 activator, and the selenium that we put in there, this is something that is very long established. Selenium is important for the function of glutathione, because one of our most important glutathione enzymes we have in our body, called glutathione peroxidase, is a combination of glutathione and selenium. So again, nothing we do is a secret. Nothing is a black box. Nothing is a mystery. If we can't explain it molecule by molecule, then we're just not a scientific company.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I have two more quick questions, and then we'll wrap up our amazing time together. But this is a great one. Josh from New Jersey. He says, now that I'm using the optimizer, I don't have to use orange juice anymore. All I need to do is find water, and I'm good. What would you say to that?
Wow, Josh, I'm with you, brother. I travel a lot, and I get to scout around for juice in a hotel and mixing up my Immunical. You know what that's like. Water everywhere is something you're going to find anywhere. And besides, it seems I'm always in a rush, and this just mixes up so easily with the Immunical. And a lot of people are telling me they're saving a few dollars every day on orange juice or whatever else. That's important to them. In some instances, they're even saying that the fact that they can use the optimizer to mix up the Immunical with water, it saves them money. It subsidizes the cost of the optimizer.
And not to mention that optimizer per stick is only 20 calories, and you know, avoids that nasty sugar spike that you do get from orange juice, and that intake of kind of some calories that kind of flow through the body pretty quickly. So that's the other good news. And our final question comes from Sue in Sacramento, and she wants to know if, because she's using the optimizer, can she cut down on her Immunical? And then that is another common question.
Wow, Sue, you know, like, why would you want to do that? The key here is to get the most miles out of the Immunical as possible. And keep in mind, if you trigger the NRF2 gene and it doesn't have the precursors to make glutathione, you haven't accomplished what you set out to do. So you really need to use the two of them together, and don't cut down on the amount of Immunical you take.
Great answer. And Sue, just keep taking that Immunical. Good for you. Well, I wish we had more time, Dr. G. This was, again, you know, a great opportunity, you know, for us to connect with you and hear from you. And we have aligned, again, your educational webinar with our special of the month at 25% off for 3 boxes. The optimizer is the ideal gifting, sharing product because, again, it mixes up quickly and cleanly. It's easy to pack into your bag, into your wallet, into your vest pocket. You know, and you know, the way that you really want to think about this, the way that the buy 3 and get 25% off boxes work, you know, just for those of you who may not understand, you say, oh, 25% off, that's okay. That's not, you know, real compelling. But actually, you know, you may find when you look at the actual promotion, if you're new to Immunotech and aren't sure, it's actually 25% off of the price that you pay. So if you'll notice down the bottom, the special price for consultants is lower. And what that equates to, I mean, if you are an average, you know, person, you're coming in at retail, you're buying a box, you know, you're going to be paying about $2.50 a stick. But when you're buying it as a consultant and you're taking advantage of these specials, getting 25% off of your wholesale price, you know, you're getting these sticks for about $1.34. And so what that really means is that, you know, you should be stocking up and getting yourself a couple of these specials because you can share them for less than $1.50. You can introduce the product to someone, get them to try it. And again, if you're out and about, just reach over, grab their water bottle and rip off the top and pour it in there and let them get it. It tastes great. And they will feel better. And that's just the beginning of, again, doing what we do, which is tell our story and connect people to the products and the product experience. And it just is a great conversation starter. So we really hope you'll take advantage of the special this month. Again, Dr. G, thank you so much for joining us today. We just can't thank you enough for your time and for all of your contributions, past, present, and future, to the Immunotech family and to our amazing mission to help people live better through science.